Okay, so have you ever noticed how in like every sci-fi movie ever, they always have those computers that can like solve crimes instantly?
Oh, yeah, like enhance and bam, there's the bad guy.
Exactly. It's like magic or something. But the crazy thing is, the future might be a lot closer than we think. Yeah,
Real.
you sent us some articles about AI and law enforcement, and it is seriously mind-blowing.
I bet. AI is changing so much so fast, it's hard to keep up.
No kidding. And these articles, they cover like everything. Cold cases predicting crime. It's wild.
Well, AI really is a game changer. I mean, we're talking about solving crimes that would have been impossible before.
Right. And learning so much more about like how criminals actually operate.
Absolutely. One thing that really stood out to me was this idea of self-driving cars basically becoming like these giant data mines for crime solving.
Oh yeah, there was one article, I think it was called like Solving Big City Murder Cases and Other Crimes Via AI and Self-Driving Cars or something like that.
That's the one. So basically, self-driving cars are packed with sensors, right?
Oh yeah, cameras, radar, LiDAR, the whole 9 yards.
Right. And all those sensors, they're constantly collecting data. LiDAR, which stands for light detection, ranging, it's amazing. It uses lasers to measure distances and create these crazy detailed 3D maps.
So it's not just what the car sees, but like the exact location of
Yeah,
everything.
exactly. And when you combine that with the video recordings, you basically have a vehicle that's like a rolling surveillance system.
So it's like everything that happens around these cars is being documented in 3D.
Pretty much, yeah. The article actually gave this example of a self-driving car just driving by someone playing kickball with their kids. Seems totally normal, right?
Yeah.
But that data, it's still captured, it's still stored. Now imagine applying that to a crime scene.
Whoa, you could like recreate the whole thing in perfect detail.
Exactly. You could track the movements of suspects, identify witnesses who are just passing by. It's incredible.
That's insane. It's like having a million silent witnesses all over the place.
And that's where AI comes in. We're talking about analyzing mountains of data, finding patterns and connections that human investigators might completely miss.
Which brings us to another crazy application, cold cases. I remember there was an article called, Could AI Hold the Key to Cracking Cold Cases?
Mm.
Something like that. And it talked about this case of Mark Heimbaugh. He disappeared like 30 years
And
ago.
Bradley was in New Jersey. Really sad case, but AI might actually be able to bring closure to families like his.
You think so?
I really do. Human investigators, they only have so much time and resources. They have to make tough decisions about which leads to follow. But AI, it can analyze all the data without getting tired or making assumptions.
That's a good point. So it's not just about speed, it's about finding connections that humans might overlook. Like maybe there's a witness statement that seemed irrelevant at the time, but AI can cross-reference it with other data, and suddenly it becomes a key piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. It's all about connecting those dots. And it's not just theoretical either. The article even mentioned this case in Indiana where they actually used augmented reality, which is kind of like AI, to help solve a murder and missing person case.
Wow, so this stuff is already making a difference in the real world.
Yeah.
And it's not just happening in the US either.
Oh, definitely not.
There was another article, Generative AI tools are helping police solve missing children cases in India. And it talked about how the Delhi police used AI to reconstruct the face of this unidentified man.
Yeah, that was a remarkable case. The man's face was really damaged, but they were able to use AI to create a reconstruction that ultimately led to his brother identifying him.
It's crazy to think that this technology can bring families back together after so many years.
It really is.
And there's so many other examples. The same article mentioned this guy, Sahid SK, in Rajasthan. He's actually using AI to enhance old photos of missing children.
I read about that. It's pretty incredible what he's doing.
It is. By sharpening the details in those photos, the hope is that someone might recognize a missing loved one. It's a powerful example of how AI can be used for good.
Absolutely. It's amazing what they're doing with AI for sure, and it's not just about finding missing persons either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the UP police in India, they're using this tool called Crime GPT, developed by Stack Technologies to actively catch criminals.
Crime GPT, what is that?
It's like this crazy, powerful AI system. They're using it for a bunch of different things. As far as I can tell, it uses facial recognition, voice recognition, even natural language processing to sift through tons of information and help the police make connections.
So it's like having this super detective sidekick that can analyze mountains of data and just instantly flag potential suspects.
Pretty much, yeah. It can pull up information on individuals through voice commands or text analyze criminal networks and even predict the likelihood of future offenses.
That's insane. It's like they're living in the future over there.
It really is cutting edge stuff.
Speaking of cutting edge, one of the articles on AI in U.S. law enforcement mentioned the Miami Police Department and how they've seen some pretty incredible results with AI.
Oh yeah, Miami, they were really struggling before they started using AI. Their clearance rates for murders and violent crimes were really low.
How low are we talking?
Well, think about this. Before AI, they were only able to arrest suspects in 45% of murder cases.
Wow, that's pretty scary, actually.
Yeah, it's a really grim statistic.
So how much of a difference did AI make?
Oh, a huge difference. After implementing AI in 2023, their clearance rate for murders jumped to 68%, and for violent crimes, it increased to 58%.
That's a massive improvement in just 1 year.
Yep, that's the power of AI.
Wow, those numbers are really impressive. It sounds like AI is already making a real tangible difference in keeping communities safe.
It definitely is.
But what about the technology itself? What are the actual tools that they're using in all these cases?
Well, we've talked about a few already, like facial recognition, predictive policing, and the data gathering capabilities of self-driving cars.
Right.
But there's a whole arsenal of AI-powered tools at play here. It's not just those few.
Okay, so give me the rundown. What are these high-tech crime-fighting gadgets that they're using?
All right, well, first up, we have automated license plate readers, or ALPRs.
ALPRs.
Yeah, basically they're high-speed cameras that can scan and store license plate numbers. They're constantly monitoring traffic for stolen vehicles or vehicles associated with criminal activity.
So it's like having an extra set of eyes on the road all the time, watching out for anything suspicious.
Exactly. Then, of course, there's facial recognition, which we've already talked about. It's a powerful tool for identifying suspects and tracking their movements, but it also comes with its own set of considerations that we need to be mindful of.
Right, like making sure it's accurate and doesn't end up having some unintended consequences.
Exactly. What else is in this AI toolkit? Well, there's predictive policing, which uses historical data to forecast where crime might occur.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
It can be really valuable for allocating resources effectively, but we have to be careful about relying too heavily on past patterns and potentially perpetuating existing inequalities.
It's a tough balance. You want to use the technology to its fullest potential, but you also don't want to accidentally create new problems.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance for sure. And to add to that, we have body-worn cameras with AI redaction.
Body-worn cameras with AI redaction. What's that?
It's a really cool development, basically. The AI can automatically blur faces and sensitive information in video footage.
Well, that's smart.
Yeah, it helps protect privacy while still maintaining transparency. It's a win-win.
It is a win-win. That's a really good way to put it. It allows law enforcement to document their interactions with the public
Right.
without compromising the privacy of anyone who might be caught on camera.
Exactly. And then there's digital evidence analysis, which is like a total game changer in modern investigation.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Think about all the digital data we generate every day. Smartphones, social media emails, internet searches. It's a gold mine of information for investigators.
But sifting through all of that manually would take forever.
Exactly. And that's where AI comes in. It can analyze massive amounts of digital evidence, find connections, establish timelines, and uncover patterns that human investigators might miss. It's like having a digital detective that never sleeps.
That's insane. It's incredible how AI is transforming every aspect of law enforcement. It's like something straight out of a science fiction novel.
It really is. And one more tool I wanted to mention is gunshot detection systems like ShotSpotter.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of ShotSpotter.
So they use acoustic sensors to pinpoint the location of gunshots in real time.
Pretty useful for a rapid response.
Oh, absolutely. It helps police get to the scene of a potential crime much faster and potentially save lives. But just like with any powerful technology, we need to make sure it's being used responsibly and effectively.
Right. With all these tools at their disposal, it seems like law enforcement is entering a whole new era of crime fighting. But where do we go from here? I mean, we've seen the incredible potential of AI, but we also have to acknowledge the potential downsides.
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It really does feel like we're standing on the edge of something huge, like we have this incredible power in our hands, but we're still trying to figure out how to use it responsibly.
It's kind of like discovering fire, isn't it? It can bring warmth and light, but it can also burn out of control if we're not careful.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole conversation about AI so fascinating and, to be honest, a little bit scary.
One of the big things that keeps coming up for me is this tension between security and privacy. It's like a classic dilemma that just gets more and more complex with the rise of AI.
Right, because on the one hand, you want to use this technology to keep people safe, but on the other hand, you don't want to create a surveillance state where everyone is constantly being watched and analyzed.
Exactly. And the capabilities of AI are evolving so quickly that it's hard to even imagine all the implications. Remember that article about self-driving cars and how they could be used to solve crimes? It really painted this picture of a world where our movements are constantly being recorded and analyzed.
Yeah, it was a pretty wild thought. Like, imagine a world where every traffic camera, every security camera, every self-driving car is feeding data into this massive AI system that's constantly looking for patterns and anomalies.
It's a lot to think about, and it's not just about surveillance either. Think about predictive policing. If
Hmm.
we can use AI to predict where crime might occur, couldn't we also use it to predict who might commit a crime?
Okay, yeah, now that's where things get really complicated because predicting someone's future actions based on data, that's a huge ethical minefield.
It is, and it raises all sorts of questions about free will and bias and the very nature of justice. Like, do we punish someone for a crime they haven't even committed yet? Do we deny someone opportunities based on what an algorithm thinks they might do?
Those are some really big questions that we as a society need to start thinking about now.
Absolutely. We need to be having these conversations now before these technologies become so ingrained in our lives that we can't turn back.
So what can we do? I mean,
Yeah.
this all feels pretty overwhelming.
It is a lot to process, but I think awareness is the first step we need to educate ourselves about these technologies, understand the potential benefits and risks, and really engage in open and honest conversations about the future we want to create.
You're right. The future of AI isn't set in stone. It's up to us to shape it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this whole topic so exciting and so important. We're not just talking about technology, we're talking about the future of humanity.
Well said. This deep dive has been a real eye-opener, and I think it's just the beginning of a much larger conversation that we need to be having.
I agree, and we encourage everyone listening to keep exploring this topic, ask questions, and be part of shaping the future of AI in a way that benefits all of us.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.